Hello everyone, welcome back to Tesla Streams, Fire 3, and I goofed a bit, because I was going to do some playtesting to see how well I could fight the Berserker. The thing is, I actually forgot I'm trying to keep the levels on stream, so... yeah, I guess we just used up a lot of resources for nothing. Oops. So Ray gets 2 HP, 4 AP, 1 power, 1 defense, 4 agility. Nina gets 2 HP, 7 AP, 1 power, 1 agility, 9 intelligence. Who doesn't Zenny? Damn. So one thing I've learned is that buffs too do consistently stay on if Soldier revives you, so that's nice. Because I want to... oops. Let's see if I can manipulate item drops this way. I can! I can indeed. Why does this damn emulator hate me so much when it comes to save states? Because I've discovered that's what's causing this, and I don't know why. Oh, also, I forgot that I'm not having it pick up the emulator, actually. Oops. Good thing I caught that early. Okay, it sort of is now, but it's picking up part of the emulator, which I do not want, so... son of a bitch. I hate this emulator, I really do. Yeah. That should be right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying though, you can manipulate the save states, but it crashed before I could test that. Oh, also, can I steal from you? Okay, so if I'm gonna be doing this, oh my god. Thank you. What was that stupid message? Okay. Really? Why is it not saying on examine? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I want to get that. You're gonna find out why later. So, who lost the soul gem? You did? Yeah, I bought a few before I came in here. Being this guy without these is really ridiculous, so I chose not to do that. But okay, so we have that, we have Buddy Chop, we're good. Mjolnir, that should be enough to kill it. And because you guys didn't see it the first time, 2 HP for Ray, 4 AP, 1 power, 1 defense, 4 agility. It gets 2 HP, 7 AP, 1 power, 1 agility, and 1 intelligence. The reason I'm doing this is you get something great for doing it. If he will drop it. I've discovered that you can manipulate this, but sometimes it takes them a while to drop their item. Damn. Doesn't want to fess it up, does he? What the fuck is this item, damn it? You just dropped the Aries gloves a second ago. There it is. Rufet's Spear. Okay. It's not the weapon I was hoping for, but there's 2 you can get here. Oh, fuck. Can't ever get the spelling right on this damn keyboard. Of course, it'd be from the Archmage. That's what I was afraid of. So yeah, that sucks. Son of a bitch, they do not want you to keep these items. Because that's the second time it's crashed when I've gotten a rare item. What the fuck is with this damn game? It's shit. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother trying to get it again. It's just for Gar anyway. But seriously, what is with this damn game? I am so sick of this shit by now. It's really making me hate playing PS1 games. Because there doesn't seem to be a good way to do so. Like, all the emulation methods suck that I've seen. Yeah, I'm dumb about it to where I'm not even gonna care. I would at least go show it off, but I don't think it's gonna be worth it. I swear I hate this. It's because of the damn memory card data replugging shit. It's causing errors within the emulator, and I hate that. I swear, man. It's fucking stupid. The amount of stress I have to deal with because of that is immense. Which is why I really don't like going back to PS1 stuff. But a lot of my favorite games are on PS1, so that's really frustrating for me. Seriously, why can't they just make a decent PS1 emulator? I don't get that. With any other system. Any other system except for PS1 and PS2 can I get decent performance. But no, not for PS1. Like, this is so stupid, I swear. You have to deal with BIOS, you have to deal with fucking, like, very limited options for the emulator. Like, you can't just hold down a speed up button, save states can't be customized. I mean, fuck, man. Like, there's no quality of life to these emulators at all, and I think it just makes it hard to play them. Because, yeah, I did not like having to put up with PCSX2 at all. I know I didn't really have much of a choice in the matter, but I had to do it to play a couple of those games. And it is atrociously bad. And I don't really want to hear it from anybody that says, oh, well, I'd like to see you do better. Fuck you, I don't care. You know, people have proven that good emulation can be made with other emulators. I don't want to hear it from them bitching that I don't have a right to complain about it. Yeah, no, fuck you. Like seriously. That's just a paper... that's a straw man's excuse for not wanting to admit that they just aren't good at their job. It's as simple as that. They don't want to admit it. They don't. Especially when there are people out there that have made much better emulation. It cannot be that complicated. I've seen people, like one company, well, I mean, not a company, but one set of, one group, I guess you could call it, actually originally did make a decent PS1 emulator, but it got discontinued. It was called PSX Fan. Fuck you and your stupid memory card shit, I hate you. All because I want to use fucking save states. Come on, switch. But, yeah, that's really irritating. Now, I'm gonna say this. Like, I don't want to hear anyone bitch to me that they don't like the way I am playing these games, okay? I've yet to bring this up, but there is someone that did make a point to mention that when I get around to playing certain games like Breath of Fire 4, so we'll get into those other games, people are gonna probably not like what I have to say because it's basically hating on a very popular game, and that never tends to go well. I could care less. I told him that. I said I could care less what people have to say on that front, because, you know, people might be okay with annoying shit in their games, but not me. Not fucking me. I am going to be 100% brutally honest if I think a game does something stupid. I don't care how popular it is. I don't care how great some elements of it are. I don't even care how much of a certain fandom just falls in love with this kind of thing. I don't care. I've always been 100% honest about when I think a game is doing something stupid. I'll act like that with any game I play. I don't care how popular it is. Fuck it. I'm going to be completely honest here. And that goes for anything. Now I don't want to make it seem like I'm always going on a soapbox about how I think certain games should be like others or anything like that. But I am going to be honest when I think a game is doing something that I think could be done better. I believe that if I am to be 100% honest about my personal feelings on how I experience a game, then that's how I should do it. I am kind of tired of people really getting on people's cases about how, oh, you're just trying to do it to be trending, or you're just trying to do it to grab attention and stuff. No, I'm doing it because it's how I feel. Like, if people say that to me, no, that's how I feel about these games. I'm not doing it for any particular reason. I'm doing it because it's literally my honest feelings on the matter. Even some of my favorite games out there, I have not pulled my punches. Ever. I have always been honest about if I think a game is doing something stupid or not. That doesn't mean I don't like it, but it does mean that I'm going to be very much critical if I think something is being handled poorly. Now, that's not to say that there are some questionable ideas that I might try to make a take a pass on. Sometimes it really depends how it's executed. Sometimes an idea is kind of stupid, but I can see why a company would do it. Or in some ways, I think that there are some elements to a game that can enhance the experience, even if I feel like they could have been handled better. For example, in Breath of Fire 2, I mentioned about the shaman system, and how I think it's a really neat way to make characters stand out. More than other characters, but I also said that while I can appreciate this being in the game, I also can remark on how flawed it is, because so many of the fusion forms you can't get till later in the game anyway. But I'll say for the record that everything that has goodwill in Breath of Fire 3 will probably not be seen as good when I get to Breath of Fire 4. At least that's how most fans approach it. Myself, I've never liked the fourth game. Well, okay, that's not true. I liked it when I first played it. And for a couple years after that, I saw a lot of appeal in it. But even then, there were times when I did bitch a few times. And that was when I was the biggest fan of it. Nowadays, I'm not really as forgiving. Not really. I can be pretty critical these days when it comes to 4. Honestly, as much as people bitch about 5, at least that game was going for an original premise, and to its benefit, it does do some rather interesting things that make it stand out. It's not trying to ride on the curtails of another game's success. Oh boy, wait until I get to 4. Now, I'm not saying a game can't bring some familiar elements back. No. I'm not saying that. I am saying, however, that if you're gonna bring elements back, you should have a good reason for doing so, like say either improving on said elements, or at the very least doing something fresh and creative with it. Like for example, let's look at Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 5. Final Fantasy 5 brings back the job system from the third game, and recycles a lot of what made that game fun for certain people, but it also improved on it by allowing you to do stuff you could never do before. And it offered customization that the third game will only wish it had. Now that's a good example of bringing something familiar back, because they had a pretty good plan on what they were going to do with it. But the FF4, I'll talk more about it when we get to it, but it didn't have a good reason to bring that stuff back. No it didn't. If it's not inferior to the third game, then it just feels kind of out of place, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't feel like it belongs. And, like, it screams of desperation. Like they were trying to reignite what made the third game fun for people. I can't say it worked, in my opinion. Generally, people like the fourth game for very different reasons than the third. I've heard a lot of the positive reviews for the fourth game, and usually the stuff they bring up is more character stuff. Usually bring up the plot, you know. Very few people bring up like the elements of the third game being brought back, and I think there's a good reason for that. So you know, I really think that it probably didn't succeed as much as they thought it did, and I don't blame them for not bringing those elements back for the fifth entry. Hell, the fifth entry feels like it's the most different than any other entry in this whole series. And I'm not saying that to be negative. No, quite the contrary. I thought it was a rather fun game myself. It was different, sure, in a lot of ways, but different in a way that made it stand out, I think. It wasn't really successful with the fandom, specifically because they wanted something a little more familiar, like with 3 and 4, but being familiar does not necessarily make it good, though, is my point. And, I think that's something a lot of people have forgotten. Well, not everybody. I mean, Breath of Fire 5 does have its supporters, and to gotta be honest, I'm more on the side of the supporters than I am the rest of the fandom. Because having a lot of personal experience myself with that game, I think that the game really is a very fun game once you understand how the mechanics work. And I personally feel that the game really should have gotten a proper sequel, because everything about the end of the fifth game implied that we'd return to a far more familiar landscape for a sequel game, judging by the way how the game ends. However, I will also say that I kind of feel like Capcom was kind of ready to put the kibosh on the series anyway. I mean, hell, judging by the general reception of Capcom for the fifth game, really seems like they really didn't want to continue the themes from the first 4 games. Everything from the dev team to the higher-ups makes it seem like they were just sick of the old elements, that they just wanted to either do something new with Breath of Fire, or just create a new RPG series in the first place. Because they did not want to keep continuing this series as it was. Like you can see, you saw it in the minds of the devs, you saw it in the minds of the higher-ups. even certain fans were receiving a little bit of burnout, seeing how familiar 4 was to 3, and how 3 was to 2 in some respects. I definitely can understand, from a developer standpoint, why they probably wanted to go in a new direction. It just so happens that the fans didn't agree, at least not agree to that extent, because they thought it was too different. I don't really know what they're talking about myself. Too different? How many familiar themes did Breath of Fire even have at this point? Sure, the third and fourth games had a lot of familiar... I don't want to spoil, because we haven't gotten to the fourth game yet, but a lot of those elements that people keep bringing up, they're mostly side stuff. Like, these aren't really staples, really. The series hasn't really become... It hasn't gained enough of an identity to have that many staples attached to it. About the only ones I can think of is Ryu needs to be in it, Nina needs to be in it, and that was the case in Breath of Fire 5. It has to have a dragon in it. Breath of Fire 5 had that too, to some extent. The idea of the fairy village, which was sort of represented in the fifth game. Like, what else is left that could be easily identifiable in all the games? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because people really wanted 3 and 4 to be the standard for all future games. But if that's the case, then they're barking up the wrong tree with that one. 3 and 4 were not huge, beloved moneymakers for Capcom. I mean, they were popular, sure, especially with many RPG fans, but they weren't exactly reaching Capcom's best-selling hits, though, is what some people need to keep in mind here. So, that probably didn't exactly help when making the decision to try to move past the elements of the third and fourth game and do something new with the series. I mean, this was the PS2 era. They were raising the standards here. They weren't exactly going to be happy with a game that looked like this on the PS2. They weren't. Come on. I mean, look at games like Final Fantasy X, games like Shadow Hearts, games like, what was the other PS2 RPG I had? Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits, maybe? Yeah, let's just go with that. Yeah, these games were consistently trying to push the envelope, as it was, and how RPGs could look. A simple-looking game like this on the PS2 probably would not have looked all that great, especially when it comes to fans that were expecting more. Sure, they bitched about Breath of Fire 5, but I'm sure they would have bitched just as much if they would have released a standard-looking game like Breath of Fire 4 was on the PS2 hardware. Because then they would be bitching that the games are starting to look repetitive. 2 games is one thing. A third that looked like that, at that point you'd be going into Mega Man syndrome, where all the games just start looking alike, you know? So, I can't say I really disagree with Capcom's logic on that front. I mean, hell, I would have probably been raising an eyebrow if... Oh, for crying out loud.
Come get my heater when you get ready to take a shower.
We'll see if I need it. Probably won't. I don't know. It's exactly all that cold in here. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that the Breath of Fire series aged pretty well all throughout until we got to the crappy mobile game that was Breath of Fire 6, and oh boy was that. Like, seriously, people bitch about the 5th game, but no, for me it was the crappy mobile game that made me just piss at the series, because that just felt like it was just, yeah, Jeez, man. I didn't even play it, and I could tell just how ugly it was just by seeing some of the YouTube vids on it. Like, what the hell were they thinking of that one, man? But okay. There's actually quite a few series that started on PS1 that by the time the PS2 era came about, they were starting to run into issues. Either trying to recreate what made the old games good and had questionable success with that, or the series just died out entirely, leading to the company not wanting to support the series anymore. When I bring this up, one of the first series people immediately think of is Wild Arms, which had a couple of games on PS2, but didn't last much longer than that. Yeah. Much like Breath of Fire, that series had a bit of growing pains ahead of it. Still, I think people generally accepted the games more kindly when it came to Wild Arms than they did Breath of Fire. Because while 3 and 4 are well liked amongst fans, the 5th game people downright rejected, and the 6th game is just trash when it was put on mobile phones, I think it was. But for now. I have to go do a few things, and then I'll be back at some point. Assuming I don't fall asleep, that is. We'll see how that goes, but I'll see you guys later.